everyone, and welcome to Valentin Consulting's guest speaker series. This is Dr. Daisy Valentin. I am the CEO of Valentin Consulting. I'm thrilled to invite you to this amazing YouTube channel where we host our exclusive guest speaker series, and it brings all the insights and discussions around business, entrepreneurs, coaching, and so much more from entrepreneurs, professionals, organizations looking to thrive in today's competitive landscape. And today is no different. We have a wonderful guest speaker today, Dr. Richard Hudnett. And today he's going to tell us a little bit about what he does, how he helps out in the community, or just what is it that he does professionally in coaching and education and so much more. So welcome. We call you Dr. Rick, though, right? Because it's cool calling you Dr. Rick too. So however you want us to address you, please let us know. But really good friend of mine here. So tell us a little bit about you and what you do and how you can help.
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Richard Hudnett, and I'm from New Jersey originally, and I went to Fairleigh Dickinson for my undergraduate degree in business, and I had some experience after I graduated with several organizations, large, Fortune 500. I worked at Disney, as well as Reebok. This was many years ago, as well as UPS and DHL in sales. And the last 16 years, I've worked for Nova Southeastern University, which has been wonderful. But I think one of the things that brings me here today is pretty much the last decade, I've been a professor, adjunct professor at many different universities. And I've, after my bachelor's degree, let me just tie in a little bit more. I apologize. After my bachelor's degree, I went on to get my MBA, and then I had a nudge to do a doctorate. So I did a doctorate in education, concentration in leadership. And then I also went to, I apologize for that. I also then went back and I studied at the master's level marketing. And so, I know Daisy asked me about marketing. So since about 10 years ago, I started teaching at a few different colleges, and I've been teaching courses for many years in marketing, management, leadership, and pretty much the business types of courses at the graduate level and undergraduate level. It's a big passion of mine. And then you want to, touch on the community. I have 4 young, beautiful children, and I'm very active in the community. They're my top priority. And I'm very, very involved in pretty much every sport they play. And that includes 2 girls, 2 boys. So we have volleyball, baseball, basketball. And
a little bit of everything, right?
We have a little bit of everything. Yeah. So that's
a little bit of everything. I love it.
So
that
just
is amazing.
Yes. One final thing. Daisy was correct. We are very good friends, and she's been a very good friend for many years now. It's probably been over a decade. And so when you asked anything that I could do to help you, I would always step up. So that's what brings me here today.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. It's very wonderful to have all those amazing people that step in and support you for everything that you do. And I appreciate that. And also, like he mentioned, he is very big in the community through what he does with his children. But we're going to take that to a step on the side too, because we know you teach and you do some recruiting and some teaching in these different spaces that you were discussing. So one of the things that I would like to kind of understand, and this goes for anyone watching us, whether it's in Minnesota or across the country, because social media is really big now, right? Mm-hmm. So how can social media be used to highlight several different positive stories in the community? How can people really enhance their social media marketing to get people to recognize, community organizations, or how can someone do that?
So that's a great question, and I often talk about it. Not saying that I'm old or anything, but I am 45, and growing up in the 80s and the 90s and the early 2000s, most organizations would advertise, and you would see a picture, right? And you would familiarize yourself with the picture and the image and the logo, and you would gravitate or not gravitate towards that organization. That world has changed with social media, And today, more than ever, organizations are educating first through their marketing. So you may click on an article that you come across in Facebook or on any of the social media websites, and then you read and learn about it. And at the same time, the organization is basically marketing itself. And so that is how it's evolved, right? Organizations now are in the market with utilizing social media to educate consumers about their brand, what their brand does, and it generates interest that way, compared to many years ago when we would clearly identify an image with an advertisement. Quite frankly, there's not a lot of advertisements being on TV these days because of the streaming. So now it's all about educating consumers and reaching them through their own personalized social media accounts.
So, now you mentioned that because now it went from the old school type of way, right, to the new age, because as generations are changing too, and social media is innovating, and what happens with, like social media, how can the community not only build on relationships in the community using that platform? Like you said, now people click articles, things like that, but what is a future thinking from some organizations, especially in the nonprofit organizations, right? Because nonprofit organizations, they rely on donorships and sponsorships and stuff like that. How can they use that to create, creative ways to help, not only educate, but help their social media marketing be more enhanced? Like, because I think it really, as an educator yourself, right, educating those individuals that go into the field, how can they help those people that need that type of service?
Yeah, I think that, again, it really boils down to social media is an experience that each end user has. And so in order for them to engage, like organizations to utilize social media to engage with an end user, they have to develop some type of trust or something that you have to establish that relationship. But at the end of the day, the results come when the end user knows, likes, they trust whatever source it is that they're reading or engaging with. So what they want to know, like, and trust. I think that those are three key ingredients. Do they, does the end user have an awareness of the organization or the business? Does the end user trust that organization and business? And then does the end user like the organization, which with those ingredients will generate some type of action, which is ultimately, if that's what they want to accomplish, some type of action, whether they join the club, whether they contribute, whether they purchase the product. No, like, and trust. They have to have those ingredients to get action. And that action would be whatever it is that the organization is trying to accomplish.
So basically, they need to be authentic, right? They need to show a role of authenticity to play in social media marketing, because if they're not providing authenticity, right? How can people trust them if they're not giving what they say they're doing, right? So what kind of posts would make someone connect to a brand or organization? What kind of, like, you're talking about trusting and authenticity. So what kind of brand or what is the connection? I mean, I think it was trust, right? But I feel like nowadays, people need to, it's not so much about their product, but about the person. Do you agree with that? Or is that something that's not true?
There's a lot of different people out there in the world. So it's hard to really pinpoint, one type of consumer or one type of end user or one type of organization. But I will say that you have a profile of an individual that you want to target, right? It could be, there could be many, if you're targeting a toy that sell or a baseball bat, you're targeting parents that would be willing to purchase that baseball bat. And where this comes into play with trust is if you develop enough likes, right, or enough trust in the end user's community or the end user's circle of friends, that end user will see that the other end user likes that brand, likes that baseball bat. And so it generates, by developing and getting getting a group and building this network that shares with others within the end users, it establishes trust. It helps. It's like a snowball effect. The more users that you get to like your product, there's the associates of those end users will see that, and by default be inquisitive, or by default validate it, right? So like, I trust you, Daisy, Dr. D, as a friend. And so what you like, what you know, what you trust would be sufficient for me as a friend. And I trust that you know what you're doing. And, it doesn't mean I would 100% act on it, but it does mean that I value what the products, or I value what you do. And that's how social media really works.
Yeah, because I think it looks at your brand. Your brand is your image, what you perceive, what you bring to the table. Because like you mentioned, although we are acquaintances and we're friends and things like that, if it was someone that wasn't, right, what is the first thing they see? Even as yourself, looking to, either purchase a home or purchase equipment, like, in the community, right? So how can social media help people reach who might not be reached on traditional recruiting methods? Because I think that's a very cool question.
Yeah. So you have to, like, for social media marketing to have traction, you have to put content out there free of charge. You have to put content out there that allows the consumer to engage with you. So you have to put content. So like, if I was in the business of plumbing, I would want to put content on my social media websites about how to fix a faucet, or how to fix a leaky toilet, or how to, and you would say, well, doesn't that defeat the purpose of getting the business? Not necessarily, because if my toilet's leaking and I see in your plumbing business and I YouTube you and you teach me how to do it, I could follow that. I'm like, okay, that's great. Now I was like, oh, wow, that worked. And that was free. And that was awesome that they gave me that information. Now I need to replumb my whole house, my entire home. Now I have to replumb the entire home, which is several $1,000s.
It happens.
Who am I going to call? I'm going to probably call the person that I was able to. Oh, wow, they're local, and they're awesome. They gave me this free information earlier. It saved me that time. I trust them because what they helped me through this. So or let's say I didn't want to fix the leaky toilet. I started the project and I was like, oh man, this is just out of my league. I can't do it. So then let me call the source, because they clearly know how to do it, and I have trust in what they're doing. So social media marketing, I think it's very important to put content out there that's relevant,
and that's useful, right? Because I think it's what you're saying. It's useful to the consumer that they see that it's free, but it's useful. Like, like I have several different businesses, and we try to put information out there that educates the consumer, right? Like one business, like Valentin Consulting, for instance, we start putting, advertising out there on social media and on LinkedIn and different places for us to advertise about educating people on taxes, right? Before tax season comes, and people get that information. They're like, oh my God. And they're questioning, and they'll Google and whatever. But if they're the type of person that doesn't want to do their stuff, right? Or doesn't want to do their accounting or taxes, whatever, then who they're going to call? The person that they saw the advertising first, right?
Yes.
So I think that's really cool.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is that I know we're almost out of time, but the other thing is that what type of skills would you recommend someone to have? I mean, do people need to have specific skills to share online to attract people, so they can join their team or support their work? Since we were just talking about, sharing content and making sure it's useful, what do they need to like be artistic in any way?
Yeah, I mean, so everyone's skill set's different, so it's very difficult to say. But to the you'll today more than ever, the more authentic you are, you're able to generate traction. And so
Mhm.
a lot of grassroots marketing, social media, advertisement, and marketing has blossomed. Where you have these individuals that are just really good at connecting with end users, really good, very relatable people, and people tend to uh, go towards those people that they
Mhm.
could relate to, that they could. So these very authentic individuals simply are posting live feeds or live product reviews or live whatever, very
Education like we're doing
easy
right now.
right now, and they get more traction than some of the stuff that you paid thousands and millions of dollars for. Really, at the end of the day, you have to have, there's certain individuals out there that are able to connect, able to attract others and engage them, and talking about either complex things or not even complex things. I mean, I have 4 young kids, so I catch them a lot on YouTube, and the guys that they're watching playing these video games, getting direction from, they're making money.
They're
And
making money
so
because all these kids are watching them play
everyone,
Roblox and all
all
this stuff.
yes, all the robots and stuff, but
We don't have a commercial.
you
We're
know,
not endorsed by them, by the way, when I say
right,
these names. But I agree with that. Now, I'm going to give you one last question because we talked about social media, but now I'm
yeah.
talking about recruiting because I know you do a lot of recruiting too. So, how does social media and recruiting help play each other? What's the best thing? Is it helping recruit more? Is the social media marketing, the innovation with social media marketing helping um recruiting? What type of recruiting post online, or what makes people want to stop and learn more? Is it kind of like what you just mentioned, being authentic live, or is there, like you said, also that it's more attractive to do social media and be live and stuff like that versus doing all these paid advertising like on TV now and cable and all that? That's like not even non-existent anymore. It's more of social media, like going on Facebook and LinkedIn and all these different places to do social media. Is that something that, as a recruiter, someone that's looking for recruiting people, is that where what is it that you do, or is that where you go?
So, in my recruiting side is completely different than what I do as a professor with social media marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So, as far as social media goes and students, prospective
Mm-hmm.
students, I'll share that. It's very beneficial when students share on their social media that they're attending a university
Mm-hmm.
and that they promote the university, because people that know and like and trust that individual
Mm-hmm.
will also become interested in the university. And so that's a way the social media ties into attracting more students, which is ultimately what we want to do, or what universities want to do. So again, it boils down to, if there's programs that generate students promoting and expressing their gratitude and their happiness and their excitement to attend a specific university, and then that translating into getting more students,
Which is
because
also free marketing too, right? For the
marketing.
university.
Yep, that's why everyone's encouraged to like their page. Yep.
Encourage to like, share, or subscribe, as we
As I
have
see,
here.
yeah, I
Like,
see it right there. Yeah, nice and red.
now, I want you to tell everyone just one takeaway, so that way they can remember you, And also, how can they reach you if they wanted to learn more about Nova University, or if they want to learn more about what you do? Where can they find you? First of all, and second of all, what is one takeaway that you can leave for individuals that are in this space?
So I would say that I do have a consulting business, Forward Thinking LLC, but you could certainly reach out to Dr. Daisy for more information about me if they would like it. And my one tip would be to become more aware of the content that you're coming across, and to question whether or not you're being educated and
Mhm.
marketed, or you're not. And you'll be surprised how, now that you're aware, or you became more aware, a lot of companies are out there are marketing their products in through the form of educating the consumer, whether it's clear or not clear. But any
Mhm.
article that you read, just just be a little bit more aware whether or not it's a company that's advertising itself.
Awesome. That is so wonderful. Well, we're going to be putting the info at valentin.com here, and also Dr. Rick's information about the coaching if you're interested in learning more about his, any type of coaching that you need for what he talked about. But we're so thankful that you were here with us today. Thank you so much for being here. If you want to be part of our guest speaker series, or you loved our guest speaker series and you want to know more about it, you want to hear more from different entrepreneurs, professionals, and more, like and subscribe this channel so every time we go live you get a notification, and make sure to turn on your notifications so you can get that as well. We are so glad that everyone is here learning more about our communities, whether it's locally, nationwide, or globally. We're here to support our community and those professionals around us. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.